Okay, well, thank you everybody for taking the time to join us this morning, this afternoon. This is a timely follow-up here for us, coming out of a follow-up after the holiday with the Procore Groundbreak event, which was last week or last month. Sorry about that. Very excited to showcase, the Docusign CLM suite here with integration into Procore through one of our SI Alliance partnerships with Uptima. So I've got an awesome panel of folks that are joining. Derek Schultz, the VP of Contract Management Solutions over with Uptima, who we do a ton of work with in the construction engineering architecture space. And then we've got Zach, Senior Solutions Engineer, joining us from Procore. Procore is a huge strategic alliance partner for us in the construction space. I have the unique opportunity of overseeing the real estate and construction space here at Docusign. We've got some, huge integrations that we work with in our entire suite and, book of business that we have. And, the Procore Alliance is amazingly important to us in the construction space. And Optima, like as I stated, is a very strategic, partner with us in this specific vertical. They have a ton of experience, a ton of use case management that they've been able to work through. We're excited to showcase this to you today in a condensed format, and raise some interest and hopefully answer some questions, give you some answers, and hopefully set up some next steps for you and your organizations to work faster and harder with our solutions here. So with that, I'm going to pass the baton over to Derek, and go ahead and take it away.
Cool. Thanks for that, Joe. So thanks everyone for showing up today. Like Joe said, my name's Derek Schultz. I oversee all of our contract solution work here at Uptima. So we're a system integrator. We don't build the software. Procore and Docusign build great software for us. And then we work with customers in order to build solutions that really drive automation and efficiency and meet the needs of your businesses going forward. So we customize that software in order to make it do what you need it to do there. So I'm sure all of this is very, very friend of mind to all of you because it's what you deal with all day. But some of the key challenges that we're seeing out there in the construction market is really just around how do we get the right people, because there's never enough of them. How do we get them working quickly and efficiently? How do we get rid of organizational friction so that they can get the work done that they need to get done quickly and efficiently, so that we're not losing money or wasting jobs around that. So I think there's a lot of opportunity around there. I think there's always pressure to try and do more with less. And that's a little bit about what we're going to talk about today on this webinar. Oops, not too far. This one. So obviously, we're talking specifically around contracting and how that relates to activities that are taking place inside of the Procore application. I think some of the things that I hear about when I'm talking with customers, I'm not screen sharing. Hold on. Can you guys see my screen? Somebody give me a thumbs up so you can see my screen. Otherwise, okay, good. All right, you can. Yeah. Great. I think some of the things that I hear when I'm talking with customers about the challenges that they're having with how they manage contracts and the different business challenges that they're being presented with are, how do we, I only have so many people. I don't have enough people to do this stuff. I've only got 3 people and it takes us this long to get stuff done. People are challenged, they get stressed, they get sick. We don't want that, right? So what we're looking to do here is, how do we get rid of the work that doesn't really add value to the process? How do I get rid of the file save as to a new name to a new directory? How do I get rid of the, I'm just going to go and update, a few key details in a template when I could have just auto-generated that and sent it, or when I could have field enabled that so that, my frontline employee could have automatically generated that contract and sent it to the customer for review or for signature. So we want to get rid of all of those low value activities, so that the people that you do have are able to focus their efforts where they're truly adding value to the process. And then kind of adding from that, another thing that I hear a lot is, we get into these contracting cycles, we go through this big contract cycle, and then we miss opportunities to bill for things, or maybe we get penalized because there was an obligation in there that wasn't captured properly as part of this process. And so now all of a sudden we're on the hook for something we didn't really know that we could be on the hook for. So we want to make sure that we're both capturing all of that stuff and that we're not losing any revenue to simple clerical errors because we didn't file something on time, because we didn't renew something on time, because we didn't cancel something on time, those sorts of things. And then looking at how do we slow the time from where we've got the opportunity to where we're actually generating revenue around this. And so there's a couple of different places where I hear about this in the construction side. One is on obviously when we're doing, an initial deal with somebody, we're trying to contract with somebody where we're going to be generating revenue from that. But also on the subcontracting side, we see a lot of work, or we see a lot of effort in this area where our customers are looking to quickly subcontract out services so that they can get that work done on site in a timely fashion. And oftentimes, the lead time and the contracting leads to delay in the actual implementation of the work that's being scheduled, which leads to delay in the overall construction schedule, which leads to just general delays overall. So the more we can remove the friction associated with how do I get that contract in? How do I get that negotiated and executed quickly and efficiently so that I can get people on my project to start building things is going to reduce the amount of delays that we're going to see, which is going to increase the speed at which we're able to then build for those milestones, deliver on that project, and not run into cost overruns. And then finding the right agreements in the right places. Right. So we're not hunting and pecking for things. We're going to have to look through a bunch of different places. We want to bring this together seamlessly so that as you go through in Procore, as you're working through the different projects in Procore and you're building out those work orders, that you're then able to connect those to the contracts that support those things so that everybody has what they need in the right place. And so this will allow us to start from within Procore, generate those contracts, push it through the entire process, negotiate those things, pull in whatever other stakeholders are needed from within the organization in one place where we're not fishing around in emails so that we can get that done quickly and efficiently, get that signed and brought back so that we can continue on with business. So this is kind of current state of the world as it relates for most customers that we deal with. You fill in an online form, or maybe you send a Word email to legal in order to be able to create that first version. Legal's got a big basket of templates that they use where somebody in the legal department will then go through and do a file save as and update those details. Or maybe there's a public folder of, here are all of our templates that are out there, but people save those locally. We're never sure that they're on the latest version of it. That just leads to rework and review cycles when it gets to legal. If newer versions are out and that wasn't what was initially drafted with the client, that can kind of create a little bit of consternation around things, or we have to settle for old language. So we're not really sure that we're working on the latest things. There's a lot of back and forth between emails on this and a lot of hot potato with who's got the ball. Did so-and-so review that last? Did so-and-so see that? Have they looked at this piece? Is this the right version? Does the customer have it? Do we have the latest version? So all of that gets very confusing inside of email and going back and forth. I see a lot of customers try and put in spreadsheets and other things like this to try and handle that, but it just creates one other system where you need to then go and look to try and figure out where we are in the process, who's working on what as we go through this thing. So what we've tried to do is consolidate that whole process, integrate what's going on with Procore and Docusign CLM, and then create one cohesive flow to address all of these. So as we go through and we look at this, what we're going to do in the demo a little bit later is we're going to start within Procore. We're going to take some of the details from within that Procore, and we're going to send that information over to Docusign, where we're then going to generate, based on the information that was provided, some supplemental information, show you the ability to upload some things, and then run that through a negotiation process, execute that thing, and then you'll see how that then automatically updates in Procore once it's been signed off. Now, all of the history is tracked with all of this. We get all of the change managed with this. Anybody can go in at any time and see where we are within the entire negotiation process. And then once that's executed, we then update Procore, and we can also notify other stakeholders to the process that it has then been completed, and they can then carry on with their portion of the work, whether that's other onboarding activities or ordering activities or things of the like. So what we're looking at today is really kind of the core of what Docusign CLM does, but we're taking all of the great things that Docusign CLM does beyond just the great e-signature product, and we're now mating them up with inside of the Procore thing here. So I think we don't get a lot into the Docusign CLM portion of things today. I think that's something that we've got a lot of opportunity to talk about. If you haven't had an opportunity to have a customized demo of the Docusign software, definitely reach out to your reps, reach out to me, reach out to Joe. We'd be happy to set up a demo for you where we can go through how we're using AI inside of Docusign today to extract data from within, contracts that we're receiving from people, how we're using AI to try and help generate or to highlight portions of the contract that may or may be different than what we typically do to further accelerate these deal cycle times, like we're talking around here. But today we're really just focused around what does this look like from a Procore perspective, and how does that experience for a Procore user look when paired with Docusign. All right, so we've got a little demo that we're going to walk through here with you. And it really is looking at kind of a simple procurement use case. I need to buy a part and I'm inside of Procore and I want to be able to initiate this from within there, run it through the sequence, get it signed, and then have that come back into Procore and be able to track that along the way. So it's a relatively simple use case, but what it does is it shows you what that experience looks like and how that data is able to flow between systems very seamlessly in order to create a very nice user experience so that they know where everything is all the time, and that as things are completed, the right people are notified and systems are updated with that. All right.
Hi there, my name is Oscar Taskin and I'm a solution architect at Uptima. Today I'll be demoing the custom integration between Procore and Docusign CLM that our Uptima and Procore team has created together. Currently we're looking at the commitments module in Procore. You can see I have 3 purchase orders and 2 that are in draft status. Let's go ahead and click on one of the purchase orders in draft mode that I was working on recently. As an estimator on this project, I'll need to purchase $400 of concrete anchor bolts. I want to make a quick update on the default retainage, then check the rest of my purchase order information to make sure it's still accurate. Once I'm ready to generate the contract, I can then click the button in the top right corner. This is a custom application that was specifically configured for this solution. Once I click Sync to Docusign, the data has then been packaged from Procore and sent to Docusign, securely authenticating with the Docusign CLM APIs. Now let's hop into Docusign to see this integration at work.
So I'll pause it there for a second. So when we look at this, we're able to take any of the information that you've got inside of Procore, and this would be part of the implementation where we define what types of information you've got in Procore, what of that is relevant to the contracting process, what do we need to bring back, and then what do we need to push back. And then here you see we can then take that information and now start to populate the different templates that are generated or are configured within Docusign.
First, you'll see different options for the type of purchase order we want to generate. For this solution, we have 4 different types of purchase orders we can create, and then also the option to upload a third-party paper instead. But this is configurable for the types of contracts your company uses. First thing you'll notice is that all of your information from the Procore commitment and project have been pulled into Docusign. Note that some of the fields are left editable in case the data doesn't exist within Procore, such as the phone number. Also note that any field with a red asterisk denotes a required field. We cannot proceed to the contract preview without a value in that field. The very important thing to note here is that the different fields and settings we create here on this document generation page are specific to your contracting process. Based on the contract types and your data in Procore, this form may look very different. Next, we have a few attachments we might want to upload here. Here we'll want to include a post-bid review, and I'll also want to include a COI, which isn't one of the standard options, so I'll have to type in what kind of attachment it is before uploading it. These attachments will now become part of the contract package in our Docusign CLM workflow. I'll also include a note to the legal team about these contract documents in my text box here, so that when they receive the task to redline the contract, they have a little bit of context. Once I've validated all of the information is correct, I can hit the next button to see the preview of the draft contract. You'll see that all of the data from Procore, as well as my manual inputs from the last page, are now on our purchase order. Before I proceed, I just want to make sure that all of my data from Procore looks correct. So I'll do a quick double check of the commitment and the contracting company. And now that I'm ready to generate the contract and route it through the approval chain for review and redlining, I can choose the Save button on the document generation preview. This will then kick off our Docusign CLM workflow. The Docusign CLM workflow is a tool that deserves its own demo, But in short, the purchase order will follow the Docusign CLM workflow that's been created according to the configuration. Version control, automated approvals, task management, redlining, and comparison are all some of the automated features within this Docusign CLM tool. For the sake of brevity, let's assume our purchase order made it through several rounds of red lines and approvals and was then signed by all parties in Docusign. Within Procore, several updates will occur upon contract execution. We'll take our second purchase order, for example. First, you'll see that the status has been updated to complete. Second, the executed checkbox will be checked. And finally, we'll have the signed contract returned to the attachment section. Like the majority of the functionality we've seen so far, the data that's written back to Procore from Docusign CLM is configurable and can be adapted to suit your business needs during the implementation. Thanks for your time today.
All right, so there we walked through and we showed you mostly the interface. What does it look like between Procore, and then how does that translate into Docusign? Obviously, Docusign, we could do a full hour-long demonstration on all of the different capabilities that are available within that. But I just want to point out that this is not the Docusign to, or the Procore to Docusign connector that maybe many of you are familiar with, which is just simply, how do I take a document and send it for a signature? This is actually generates those templates, allows you to define those processes, allows you to collaborate on the negotiation and execution of those agreements, allows you to put in approval hierarchies, so that we're making sure that the right people are looking at the right contracts as we go through this process. And then once it's been executed, we can then take that information back, and we can not only update Procore, but we can also push this to other systems inside of your organization as well. If you have other people that need to be made aware of the fact that a contract's been signed, purchase order has been created, or that if we need to get a purchase order from somewhere in order to be able to do things, then all of that information can be collected and integrated through the Docusign CLM platform. There we are. All right, so that kind of concludes what we were hoping to talk with you about today. Wanted to give you quick, I know it's a midday kind of lunch and learn type approach to doing things, give you a quick overview of some of the power that's available there, and then open the floor up to answer any questions that you might have at this point.
Okay, looks like we got one coming in here. What's the affiliation between Procore, Uptima, Docusign? I'm happy to take that one. So Procore is a strategic alliance partner of ours that we have an integration with, with eSign, and it's a great integration. We've kind of is both of our companies have been growing at a very strong trajectory. We've kind of been growing with Procore's business over time, and that's why our alliance is very strategic. And as we've aimed to verticalize this space and invest more and grow it and serve this customer base as best we can, it has been a big focus area of our extended group, and so they are an alliance partner from an ISV perspective, because we have an integration, and then Uptima is a solutions integrator partner that we use, very exclusively into this space of this industry, but not just this industry. We just have a lot of experience working with them in construction and in engineering firms. And so, like the power of bringing all three of us together is really this webinar and this integration that Derek and team have been able to work with us and Procore specifically on our CLM product suite, makes it unique and makes it scalable with these reusable use cases that we've got with the Procore customer base, and we're really excited to roll this out, support it, and get folks leveraging the power of these integrations and the experience of onboarding and getting everything going. So, great question.
I'll take the next one if you want. So how long does this take? Depending on kind of the nature maturity, most of the projects run somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 to 12 weeks from initial kickoff through to implementation. And that would be where we would go through, we would finalize the design, we would review all of the templates that you're interested in, what that workflow needs to look like, how we need to bring that data through and integrate that, and then what to do once that's been executed. Where do we update repositories, push that back to Procore? Do we need to update other repositories or notify other systems that a contract's been signed as well during that process. So that's the typical timeline. Obviously, like all things, it can be more or less than that, depending on the level of complexity that we're looking to do. Typically, if we're doing, procurement or procurement type use cases like what we showed today, there can be some complexities in there that are unique to different organizations. And then where we're doing a lot of work on the sub-K type use cases, which is very common in this industry as well, depending on how you run your sub-K process and how you relate your agreements in that can, add or remove time as we go through that process as well. One of the things we like to do with customers as we go through this is share some of the best practices we see across customers where they're contracting more efficiently, and how we've solved for different challenges in the contracting process or in the structure of contracts in order to be able to make them work more efficiently, both within the system and as we run through the process. And then in terms of solution costs, it varies from customer to customer. It will be based on some sort of a scoping exercise. I can say we've done this for as little as $60,000, all in on all the way up from there to multiple millions of dollars, depending on where we are. So the price is very variable, depending on what you're looking to do in that. And that's where I'd hope that you'd reach out and we can have a conversation around what you're trying to achieve with that and how we can help with that. Which Procore users' licenses would get the most benefit from leveraging Docusign CLM? I'm not familiar with the license user model. I don't know, Zach, if that's something you can.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the Procore, the user license model as well, but I would say any Procore end user that is leveraging the Procore commitments module, so subcontracts and purchase orders, as well as Docusign, looking to integrate those two.
Does that answer your question, Rob? Perfect. All right. Looks like that's most of the questions we got today. If you do have any other follow-up questions, feel free to reach out to us, and we're happy to chat with you about what that can do, how we can answer that, how we can work together. I think the nice thing about having this partnership and have all of us working together on this is that you're not having to now triangulate. Oh, I had a conversation with Docusign. Oh, I had a conversation with Procore. Oh, I had a conversation with Uptima. You can reach out to any one of us, and we've already had those conversations. We know what it takes to turn out the solution and make it work for you, and we know how to modify that in order to customize it to your needs. So you're not starting from scratch on this. This is something that's been completed before, and it's something that's very repeatable. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from you. We'll be reaching out to chat and see if you're interested in some more details around what we can do by integrating Docusign CLM with Procore. Thank you all for your time.
All right. Thanks, everybody.